The most underused class across all of Destiny is the Stasis Warlock. Champion stun, crowd control, and icy explosions are just some of the things you can do with close to zero effort. So today we're going to go over the best and most versatile build to make you the ultimate ice wizard. This build allows you to capitalize off using some of your favorite weapons or even use the brand new Wicked implement. Let's jump right into it. Characters with ice powers have always been badass, from Frozone and Mr. Freeze to Sub-Zero and Ice King. So let's add you to the list. The only problem is that Stasis feels really lackluster in comparison to other classes. With any of the light classes, it feels like you can do extremely well without needing a class-based exotic. But with Stasis, you're really going to need a certain exotic. And that certain exotic is Osmiomancy gloves. Yeah, this is no surprise to anyone. These gloves are the best Stasis-based exotic. They're better than Horrorfrost, Renewal Grasps, and obviously Balladorus Wraithweavers. Osmiomancy's exotic perk is Fervid Cold Snap, which provides your Cold Snap grenades with an additional charge that recharges faster on direct impact. And the Seeker spawn from Cold Snap grenades also travel further. Here's that exact stat for the recharge boost. As long as there's enemies nearby, you will have grenades, especially with this super beautiful build we're going to be using. Let's go ahead and pull that up. See? How pretty is that? Yeah, it's a lot of information at once, so let's go ahead and break everything down and talk about playstyle. This is 100% a grenade focused build, so I'm going to leave the weapon choices up to you. There's a lot of great weapons that can play into this build. Here are a few of my recommendations. First is Acre Scepter with Catalyst, an amazing supercharged gun that helps you get some use out of that super. Next we have any weapon with Chill Clip. These will allow you to capitalize off your Seekers to spread freezes and create more icy explosions. Lastly, I can actually see some use for Wicked Implement. This is speculation since I have yet to complete the quest, but with its ability to slow and freeze, I don't doubt it'll be helpful in some way. Okay, let's talk about the build. For aspects, we're going to go with Ice Flare Bolts, so when shattering a frozen target, it spawns Seekers that track and freeze other targets. And then we're going to go with Bleak Watcher. This will allow us to consume our grenade to create a Stasis turret that slows and eventually freezes. Ice Flare Bolts is a staple in every Stasis build due to that extra Seeker. And Bleak Watcher is going to be your way to stun overloads, get some extra boss damage, and just be all around a helpful little guy. And me personally, I love little guys. No, not in a weird way, I'm in a nice way. And for our fragments, we have Whisper of Chains to reduce your damage when close to a frozen target. Then we have Whisper of Torment for you to gain grenade energy every time you take damage. Okay, now we have Whisper of Fissures, which increases the damage and size of bursts when you defeat a frozen target. Sorry, I've read Whisper like 3 times and thought I was supposed to whisper. I was just a little confused. Never mind that. Because our last fragment is Whisper of Hedrons, which gives you an insane stat boost to 6 stats when you freeze a target. And not some baby bumps, but an entire 60 extra resilience, mobility, and recovery according to Reddit user I Found 'em for me. And according to D2 Foundry, it also applies a 30 stability, 15 aim assist, and 20 airborne effectiveness to your weapon. These effects last for about 11 seconds after freezing. And with how often you'll be freezing, you'll have these effects about 100% of the time. That was a lot, but at least you understand a little bit better now. Hopefully. Oh, and for your grenade, in case you missed it earlier, we're going to be using the Cold Snap grenade, which is the staple of this build. Do not change your grenade, I will be really mad. Oh, armor mods, okay. I'm going to make this quick because mods are so boring, but very necessary. These are for faster grenades. These are also for faster grenades, but in a slightly more confusing way. These are for faster melee and rifts, and this singular mod is for some extra health. All of the blacked out mods are personal preference, but on your helmet you'll need at least 1 siphon to generate orbs to make most of these mods work. So try to grab the 2 elements you have in your kinetic and energy slot. And I'm sure you noticed that we don't have any firepower mods with the grenade build, but that's because these grenades cannot actually kill, so it'd be a wasted mod. Okay, that covers everything, so let's see how this plays out. This build works in everything, literally every piece of content. I've played with it in Grandmasters, Deep Dives, PvP, and so much more. And it's really good. We're going to focus on using our Cold Snap grenade for its quick freezes and chaining abilities. This will help you take care of all ground units, quickly freeze a champion or boss, and freeze an entire group of enemies in a matter of seconds. And I truly mean an entire group. With the right timing, it can freeze an infinite amount of enemies if they are close enough and spawning quick enough. And then if you're hitting a direct impact with this grenade, you're going to have a near 100% uptime on cold snaps. But if you miss, it'll still seek out and grant you some energy to keep your grenades flowing and enemies frozen. And then we have Watcher turrets. You can have multiple of these out at a time thanks to Osmiomancy, but you're going to want to use these way more scarcely than your normal cold snaps, since they won't grant you the same grenade energy on a hit. These are going to be your go-to when it comes to overload champions, if you're playing extremely safe, and boss slows or freezes, so you don't have to worry about throwing a grenade mid-DPS phase. All around a great safety option, but definitely default to the normal cold snap. And luckily, that's all this build takes to be amazing. Just focus on psyching your grenades constantly, keeping the enemies frozen, and getting constant shatters for massive damage. Oh, and we didn't talk about melee or rift, but even though this is a grenade build, your melee is quite good too, because it can instantly freeze, so use it when you have an unstoppable champion nearby, or you're getting absolutely swarmed by enemies. Then with this build, you'll get a ton of grenade energy and a free orb of power after popping Rift, thanks to Reaper and Bomber. Then lastly, your super is one of the supers of all time. I'm not a big fan of it by any means, but it does a decent job in clearing a huge group of enemies. But then again, so does every other super. And that's it. Take this build for a ride. I promise you it'll hold up very nicely in so many different scenarios and game modes. Thank you all so much for checking out this build guide. YouTube told me that video in the top left will be your new favorite video of all time, so I recommend you check that out ASAP. See ya!